In the summer of 1976, America was drowning in bicentennial fever. The stars and stripes were plastered everywhere, from patriotic bunting to cereal boxes and beer cans. Every industry was looking for a way to cash in on the country's 200th birthday. Adult film wasn't going to miss the party. One of the wildest contributions was Spirit of 76, a colonial-dressed parody that arrived in theaters just as the fireworks were going off. On its face, the movie was a quick gag, a history lesson with the Founding Fathers reimagined as horny degenerates. But the man behind it was no ordinary genre film director. Stu Segall, working under a writer-director-producer pseudonym, the Krelmn Sisters, Ricky and Michelle, would later go on to helm network TV shows like Silk Stalkings and Saints and Sinners. Before that, though, he was one of the boldest filmmakers of the Golden Age, having directed genre classics such as Insatiable and Up and Coming. Spirit of 76 captures him at a fascinating stage of his career, creating one of his earliest works in the adult world, but already flexing the craft that would carry him into prime time. The movie is framed by Ebenezer K. Bartholomew, a doddering, foul-mouthed old-timer who claims he witnessed the signing of the Declaration of Independence. He narrates with equal parts glee and profanity a series of vignettes that reveal the true dirty secrets of America's founders. What follows is part parody pageant, part genre review. George and Martha Washington open and close the film, played by Tyler Horn Reynolds and Annette Haven. Haven brings her usual regal poise to Washington in a manner that elevates the whole bicentennial farce. Already one of the industry's most refined screen presences by 76, her trademark aura, icy, intelligent, and just a little aloof, sits well with the vibe of the film. In a sea of winking anachronisms and cartoonish performances, she stands out by playing it almost straight, which paradoxically makes the silliness of it all land harder. Reynolds, who sidelined as a stand-up comedian outside of his copious adult work, brought a surprising amount of earnestness to the role, which juxtaposes nicely against the farce. Elsewhere, Jeff Lyle gallops into the history books as Paul Revere in a fevered pairing with Christine Heller, while John Seaman puts on a skull cap to play Benjamin Franklin, discovering electricity and immediately turning it into a pleasure object for Angela Hayes. A pre-downfall John Holmes pops up as Captain John Smith, matched with Desiree West as Pocahontas, in one of the era's rare high-profile interracial pairings. And then there's Sandy Pinney and Gail Lawrence, better known as Abigail Clayton, sneaking off to a barn for an enjoyable tryst before being interrupted by a group of Minutemen, played by John Martin, Ray Wells, and Clay Hyde. The setup is ridiculous, but Segall treated it with more craft than anyone expected. Because if you look past the genre content, Spirit of 76 luxuriates in its locations. Shot in the countryside outside Boston, the film trades dingy interiors for rolling fields, pale blue skies, and expanses of green that look like they were ripped from a colonial painting. The sight of the actors in their various costumes gliding through this bucolic setting is equal parts ridiculous and beautiful, giving the movie a playful sense of place. The lush landscapes don't just set the scene, they make the film feel bigger, stranger, and oddly more cinematic, as if the bicentennial demanded not just fireworks, but a full-on pastoral sex pageant. Beyond all of this, the editing keeps the pace tight, scenes moving with a rhythm that makes the comedy as well as the action land. And then there's the music, a lively, song-heavy soundtrack credited to Lon John. In reality, two mainstream songwriters that Segall regularly used, moonlighting under the joint pseudonym. The result is an odd hybrid, an industry comedy that moves with the confidence of a professional production, liberally sprinkled with anachronisms, and carried by a cast who clearly seem to be enjoying themselves. However, Spirit of 76 wasn't the Bicentennial smash hit that the production had hoped for. It was released with little fanfare and remains a relatively lesser-known contribution to the genre. That may change, however. Today, the film enjoys a second life thanks to its long-overdue restoration and Blu-ray debut via Vinegar Syndrome. The studio paired it with teeny buns in a slipcover double feature package, scanned and restored in 2K from the original film negatives. And it is well worth checking out in this restored form and may begin to enjoy the recognition I feel it deserves. What makes it hold up is that the finished result is both a fun-filled parody of American history and a sincere time capsule of the adult industry's brief flirtation with satire and spectacle. Looking back, what's striking is how much energy radiates from the screen. Haven, Reynolds, Seaman, West, and the rest aren't just going through the motions. They're leaning into the absurdity, having fun with the colonial costumes, while smirking through a script of dirty jokes. The ease and fluidity of the performances are infectious, but the results of assured filmmaking are evident too. Segall's artistic fingerprints are all over it, showing that even at the height of porn's bicentennial kitsch, he was pushing for something more cinematic. Nearly 50 years later, the movie is still worth talking about, not just because it's funny to imagine George Washington getting at it, but because it represents a moment when genre films aimed higher than just titillation. In Segall's hands, an admittedly one-note gag turned into a visually appealing and weirdly enduring industry film. America celebrated its birthday with parties and fireworks. The adult industry celebrated with powdered wigs, muskets, and a vibrator invented by Benjamin Franklin, and somehow both feel equally as patriotic. Thanks for watching, everyone. Once again, a quick reminder about my mailing list. I'm giving away a free ebook about the New York industry of the 1970s, and it's also the best way to keep informed about other things I have in the works, which includes a very soon-to-be-released guide on the best places to source Golden Age films, as well as an online store I am building with lots of different vintage poster prints and cover art from the heyday of the industry. You'll find a link in the description so you can sign up, receive the ebook, and keep up to date with everything else. Okay, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.